You can be surrounded by people and still feel completely alone. The room is loud, everyone is talking, there's laughter, music, conversations everywhere, and yet somehow you feel like you're standing behind invisible glass. You smile when someone talks to you, you nod in the right places, you say the right things, but inside, something feels strangely distant, disconnected. And the confusing part is this: you're not physically alone, so why does it feel like you are? Maybe something like this has happened to you. You walk into a party or crowded gathering, people greet you, someone offers you a drink, music fills the room. Everything seems normal, but after a while, you start noticing something subtle. The conversations feel shallow, the laughter feels slightly forced, the energy around you feels noisy. And instead of feeling energized, your mind begins to drift inward. You start observing rather than participating, watching faces, listening to tones, reading the space between words. And slowly, the strange feeling appears. Not loneliness exactly, but disconnection. Pause for a moment and think about this. Have you ever stood in the middle of a crowd and suddenly realized you don't feel emotionally connected to anyone around you, even though people are right there? This feeling is more common than most people admit. And surprisingly, it doesn't always come from a lack of people, it often comes from a lack of something else. Emotional resonance. Human beings don't just connect through words, we connect through shared emotional signals, through feeling understood, through sensing that someone sees the real version of us. But in crowded environments, those signals often get lost. Conversations become faster, attention becomes divided. People talk, but they rarely slow down enough to truly see each other. So, if you're someone who tends to think deeply or feel emotion strongly, something strange can happen in these situations. You start sensing the surface level of everything, and your mind quietly searches for something deeper, a meaningful conversation, a moment of authenticity, a real connection. But when you don't find it, the crowd starts to feel strangely empty. And here's where the silent reason begins to appear. Feeling alone in crowds is rarely about social ability. It's often about emotional depth. Some people are perfectly comfortable floating on the surface of conversations, small talk, quick jokes, light interactions, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for certain minds, surface level interaction doesn't satisfy the deeper need for connection. So when you're surrounded by people, but the conversations never reach that deeper level, your brain experiences a quiet mismatch. You're socially present, but emotionally understimulated. Imagine listening to music where you can only hear the drums, but the melody is missing. Technically, the music is still there, but something essential feels absent. That's what social environments can sometimes feel like for emotionally sensitive or introspective people. There are voices, there are conversations, there are smiles, but the emotional melody isn't there. And when the brain senses that absence, it does something interesting. It withdraws inward, not because you dislike people, not because you're antisocial, but because your mind is searching for something real. Many people who experience this are highly observant. They notice subtle emotional signals, they read facial expressions, they sense awkward pauses and hidden tension, while others are simply enjoying the moment. Your mind is analyzing the emotional landscape of the room. This heightened awareness can make crowds feel overwhelming, not because there are too many people, but because there are too many signals, too many emotional fragments, too much noise without meaningful connection, and slowly something unexpected happens. Instead of feeling part of the crowd, you begin to feel separate from it. You become the observer, the quiet one in the corner watching conversations unfold, not judging, just noticing. Pause and reflect for a moment. When you're in social environments, do you feel more like a participant or an observer? For many people who feel alone in crowds, The answer is almost always the same: observer. And that role often begins earlier in life than we realize. Some people grow up in environments where they had to pay close attention to emotional dynamics. Maybe tension in the household was unpredictable. Maybe someone's mood could change quickly. So you learn to watch, to read the room, to notice emotional shifts before they became problems. Over time, this skill becomes automatic. Your mind scans rooms constantly, tracking energy, reading signals, trying to understand the emotional atmosphere. That ability can make you incredibly perceptive. You understand people deeply. You notice feelings others overlook. You can often sense what someone is going through before they say a word, but it also comes with a hidden cost. When you are always observing, it becomes harder to simply relax inside the moment. Your mind keeps analyzing, comparing, interpreting, and that constant awareness can create emotional distance even when you are surrounded by people. Here's the twist that many people eventually discover: the feeling of being alone in crowds is often not about loneliness, it's about misalignment. You are craving connection on a level that the environment simply isn't offering, and your brain knows it. It's the same reason a deep conversation with one person can feel more fulfilling than a party with 50. Because true connection isn't about the number of people around you, it's about emotional presence. When someone listens with curiosity, when someone shares something real, when someone sees beyond the surface, the feeling of isolation disappears almost instantly, which reveals something powerful. The problem was never that you were bad at being around people. The problem was that the environment didn't match the way your mind connects. And once you understand this, something important changes. You stop forcing yourself to enjoy environments that drain you. You stop assuming something is wrong with you. You begin seeking spaces where deeper conversations happen naturally. And suddenly the world feels different because the same person who felt invisible in a crowd can feel completely understood in the presence of just one person who truly listens. That's the quiet truth. Feeling alone in crowds doesn't mean you're broken. It often means your mind is wired for something deeper. Not more people, just more real connection. And when you find that kind of connection, the crowd no longer matters.